In 1964, Jim Templeton photographed his daughter in a quiet Cumbrian meadow. When the film was developed, a figure in a full spacesuit appeared, standing behind her. Templeton swore no one else was present. Kodak examined the original negative and confirmed it was completely unaltered. Two men claiming to be government agents later visited him and left without explanation. Soviet rescuers discovered this tent in the Ural Mountains, slashed open from the inside. 9 experienced hikers had fled barefoot into -30 degrees Celsius in the middle of the night. Their bodies were found scattered across the slope, up to a kilometer away. The Soviet government classified the cause of death for decades. The official explanation, released in 2019, satisfied almost no one. In every piece of footage from the JFK assassination, this woman appears, standing completely still, calmly filming, while everyone around her panicked and ran. The FBI made a public appeal for her to come forward. She never did. The footage she filmed has never been found. She has never been identified. This photograph was taken at the reopening of the South Fork Bridge in British Columbia in 1941. Every person in the frame is dressed in 1940s attire, except one. A single man stands wearing a printed t-shirt, modern-style sunglasses, and holding a compact camera decades ahead of its time. Historians have examined this photo for years. No explanation has been given. At the 1928 Hollywood premiere of The Circus, a woman walks past in the background, holding something to her ear and appearing to speak into it. The footage was slowed down and shared publicly in 2010, generating millions of views worldwide. The debate over what she was holding has never been resolved. This is the last photograph ever taken by the 9 Dyatlov hikers, laughing around a campfire on the night of February 1st, 1959. Within hours, all 9 would tear their way out of their tent and flee into a -30-degree blizzard in bare feet. Not one of them survived. When investigators arrived at the scene, they found 9 sets of footprints leading away from the tent, walking calmly in a straight line, not running. The tracks showed no signs of panic or stumbling. Whatever drove 9 experienced mountaineers out of their tent that night did not make them run. Scientists have never explained what that means. This is an official RAF group photograph taken in 1919. When it was developed, an extra face appeared grinning from behind one of the men in the back row. The entire squadron identified it immediately as Freddie Jackson, a mechanic who had been killed in a propeller accident exactly 2 days before the photo was taken. This symbol, 3 hairs sharing 3 ears in a perfect circle, has been found carved identically in medieval churches across England, Germany, France, and deep in the cave temples of China's Silk Road. These civilizations had no known contact with one another. No origin point has ever been found. No one knows what it means. Tsutomu Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima on August 6, 1945, when the first atomic bomb was dropped. He survived. He bandaged his wounds and reported to work the following morning in Nagasaki, arriving just in time for the second bomb. He survived that too. He is the only person officially recognized as a survivor of both attacks. He lived to age 93. On the stone steps of the Sumitomo Bank in Hiroshima, there is a shadow burned permanently into the granite. The person sitting there was vaporized instantly by the atomic blast at 8:15 in the morning on August 6, 1945. The stone around the shadow was bleached white by the heat. The shadow itself is all that remains of a human being. These 2 aerial photographs show the exact same street in Nagasaki, taken just 3 days apart. In between, the second atomic bomb. Scientists studying the blast pattern have noted that the radius of total destruction follows a near-perfect circle, a characteristic that still challenges conventional models of the explosion's mechanics. In June 1908, something flattened 2,000 square kilometers of Siberian forest in an instant. The explosion was estimated to be 1,000 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. When scientists finally reached the site years later, they found no crater, no meteor fragments, no trace of whatever caused it. The Tunguska event has never been fully explained. A second expedition photograph from Tunguska shows something even stranger. Every tree across 80 million fallen trunks points away from a single point in the sky above the center of the blast. Whatever hit Tunguska never touched the ground. It detonated in mid-air, and scientists still disagree on what it was. Roy Sullivan was a U.S. National Park Service ranger in Virginia. Between 1942 and 1977, he was struck by lightning 7 separate times and survived every single one. He lost a toenail, had his eyebrows burned off, and his hair caught fire twice. The odds of being struck by lightning once are 1 in 15,000. 7 times is statistically beyond calculation. Violet Jessup was a ship stewardess who survived the near sinking of the RMS Olympic in 1911, the sinking of the RMS Titanic in 1912, and the sinking of the HMHS Britannic in 1916. After surviving 3 of the most catastrophic maritime disasters in history, she continued working at sea. She died at age 83 in her own bed. In March 1944, RAF tail gunner Nicholas Alkermade's Lancaster bomber caught fire at 18,000 feet. Facing death by burning, he chose to jump without a parachute. He fell for 3 minutes. He landed in pine trees and a deep snowdrift. He walked away with a sprained leg. German interrogators who captured him refused to believe his story until they verified it themselves. Between 1923 and 1951, a single man quarried, transported, and assembled over 1,100 tons of coral rock entirely alone, at night in secret. No one ever witnessed him work. The largest stones weigh 30 tons. Modern engineers who have studied the site cannot determine how he moved them with the tools available to him. This is the man who built Coral Castle. Ed Leeds Calnin stood 5 feet tall and weighed 100 pounds. He had a 4th grade education. He told neighbors he had discovered the secrets used to build the pyramids, but never explained further. He died in 1951, taking his methods with him. The Great Pyramid of Giza is aligned to true north with an accuracy of 3/60ths of a single degree, more precisely than the Greenwich Observatory was when it was built. Construction began around 2560 BC. The magnetic compass was not invented until approximately 200 BC. The 8-shaped stone blocks of Puma Punku are cut with sub-millimeter precision, tolerances that would challenge modern CNC machinery. They were created by a civilization with no known writing system, no metal tools, and no wheel. Not one of the hundreds of blocks at the site is identical to another. Every single one interlocks perfectly. In 1901, divers recovered this corroded bronze device from a 2,000-year-old Greek shipwreck. It turned out to be a fully functional astronomical computer capable of predicting solar eclipses, planetary positions, and the dates of Olympic Games. Nothing of comparable mechanical complexity appeared again for over 1,400 years. In 1938, archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig discovered this clay pot in Iraq containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod. When filled with an acidic liquid such as vinegar, it generates approximately 1.1 volts of electricity. It is estimated to be over 2,000 years old. No one has ever established what it was used for. The Nazca lines are geoglyphs so enormous they are only fully visible from the air, carved into the desert by a civilization that had no aircraft. Some figures stretch over 370 meters. They have remained perfectly preserved for more than 2,000 years. Scientists still do not fully agree on their purpose. Archaeologists excavating Stonehenge in the 1950s determined that construction began around 3000 BC. The largest stones, called sarsens, weigh up to 25 tons and were quarried 25 miles away. The monument's alignment with the midsummer sunrise is accurate to this day. No tools capable of moving these stones have ever been found at the site. In December 1924, 2 sailors aboard the SS Watertown died at sea and were buried overboard. For the rest of the voyage, crew members reported seeing their faces appearing in the waves alongside the ship. The photographs were authenticated by a New York photography firm. No manipulation or double exposure was found. 2 photographers from Country Life magazine captured this image on the staircase of Raynham Hall in 1936. It was published in the magazine's December issue and has been examined by photographic analysts for nearly 90 years. No double exposure, darkroom manipulation, or natural explanation has ever been proven. It remains the most studied ghost photograph in history. A family posed for a photograph in their new Texas home. When the film was developed, a figure appeared to be falling headfirst from the ceiling directly behind them. No one present reported seeing anything unusual during the session. The history of the house before the family moved in has never been traced. In 1998, NASA's space shuttle Endeavour photographed this unidentified object in polar orbit, a trajectory that no known satellite at the time was using. Signals consistent with the object had been tracked since the early 1960s. NASA has never officially identified it. No nation has ever claimed ownership of it. Since at least the 1930s, residents of the Hessdalen Valley in central Norway have reported unexplained lights drifting silently through the sky. The Norwegian government funded an official scientific study in 1983. Over 40 years of documented research later, the lights continue to appear and continue to resist every explanation put forward. The Myrtles plantation was built on a Tunica Native American burial ground in 1796. This photograph, taken by a guest, appears to show figures in period clothing reflected in one of the original antebellum mirrors, a reflection that does not correspond to anything in the room. The plantation has been the subject of formal paranormal investigation since the 1980s. Stull Cemetery in Kansas has been described as one of the 7 gateways to hell in folklore, dating back to at least the 1870s. A stone archway on the property reportedly appeared in photographs taken by Life magazine in 1978. Photographs the magazine chose not to publish. The arch collapsed in 2002. What was photographed inside it remains disputed. Since the 1950s, over 600 dogs have leaped from the exact same spot on Overtoun Bridge in Dumbarton, Scotland. Always the same parapet, always on calm, clear days. Dozens have died. Animal behaviorists, structural engineers, and paranormal investigators have all studied the site. No definitive explanation has ever been agreed upon. In November 1970, a hiker discovered a woman's body in a remote Norwegian valley. Every label had been removed from her clothing, her fingerprints had been deliberately burned off. 14 fake passports were linked to her travels across 6 European countries. She carried nothing that could identify her. Norwegian police reopened the case in 2017. She has never been identified. On November 24, 1971, a man using the name Dan Cooper hijacked a Northwest Orient flight, collected $200,000 in ransom, and parachuted into the Pacific Northwest at night. Despite one of the longest investigations in FBI history, he was never found. A small bundle of the ransom bills surfaced on a riverbank in 1980. D.B. Cooper himself has never been seen since. On the night of March 13, 1997, a silent V-shaped formation of lights moved slowly over Phoenix, Arizona, witnessed by thousands of residents across a 300-mile corridor. It was photographed and filmed from hundreds of locations. The U.S. Air Force attributed the lights to military flares. The governor of Arizona, who witnessed the event himself, publicly mocked that explanation at a press conference. On December 26, 1900, a supply vessel arrived at the Flannan Isles lighthouse to find it completely abandoned. 3 experienced keepers had vanished without a trace. A half-eaten meal sat on the table. The final log entry described 2 of the men, hardened seafarers, weeping uncontrollably with fear. No bodies were ever recovered. No explanation was ever found. In December 1948, an unidentified man was found dead on Somerton Beach in Adelaide, Australia. Every label had been removed from his clothing. Hidden in a secret pocket was a scrap of paper bearing the words, "Tamam Shud," Persian for "it is finished." A coded message found in a linked book was never fully deciphered. He went unidentified for 74 years. Carbon dated to the early 15th century, the Voynich manuscript is a 240-page illustrated book written in an unknown script that no linguist, cryptographer, or computer algorithm has ever decoded. It contains detailed illustrations of unidentifiable plants, astronomical charts, and mysterious figures. The author, the language, and the purpose remain completely unknown. During the Apollo 17 mission in December 1972, NASA astronauts photographed this structure on the lunar surface, a rock formation displaying right angles and geometric regularity inconsistent with natural formation processes. NASA has never officially addressed the photograph. Lunar geologists continue to debate its origin to this day. The camera doesn't lie, but sometimes it shows us things that science still can't explain.